Hi, this is Cheryl back with you from Farmhouse Frugally, and I have been so excited about this collaboration. I had so much trouble trying to pick which of the last things I have thrifted to flip for spring because I have so many amazing things. So make sure you hit subscribe and you watch the next few videos because I really have found some gorgeous things, either, as you know me, at the good table at my dump or at a local antique store, thrift store that I had visited. I rarely have to thrift because I have such an amazing dump, but I did go out and do several trips, both for this video and for the next several. So at the dump on the good table, I did find this little cubby, organizational cubby, very cute. Somebody had clearly painted it for maybe a little girl's room or something, put the little birds on it and everything, very sweet. But I wanted to do something a little bit in a woodland feel for this spring thrift flip. So I am taking just a latex paint that I have on hand, which is almost iced coffee colored, and I had mixed it with a little bit of white to lighten it up just a little bit. And then I am just going to go ahead and give this entire cubby 2 coats. Now I'm not going to touch the beautiful wood on the sides. I'm going to leave those as they were in the drawers, but you can see that somebody had painted this quite pink inside. So a little tricky to get all that done with a couple of coats of paint, but I got that fully covered all the way around. And then I had one particular item in my stash that was my inspiration for this piece, and that is the reason for this color and for the woodland theme. So once I have this completely finished with both coats and it is dry, it came out lovely, just as a very basic neutral color, which, if you know me, is perfect for my home. But actually, when I finished this, my daughter listed it for me and it sold the same day. So it has already sold, but I thought it was very sweet. So what I did here after it was dry was take out this beautiful napkin that I got on Etsy of this sweet little hedgehog, so adorable. I separated it from the plies in the back and just laid it out as I would like to put this on the drawers. Then I used a wet paintbrush to tear out organically the little hedgehog and decoupage that right onto one of the drawers. Now I do have a knob to put back on that. That is soaking. The knobs are soaking in vinegar because they were rather old. This piece is definitely at least 50 years old. So I am just using Mod Podge here. You can certainly use any decoupage medium that you like, and making sure that the knob is not going to be like in the hedgehog's face. And I am just going to decoupage that right on, under and over that. And then once that is dry, I can clean that up a little bit, but I also will want to distress this with some dark antiquing wax, just because that's my style. I love that. Certainly that's the step you can skip if you're not interested in anything terribly vintage. Now, out of screen here, but I did take another little hedgehog and put it on the other drawer, and then once I finished that, I flipped this piece onto its side, and there's like a tree with a bird in it on the rest of that napkin, and I just decoupaged that on one of the sides of this piece. The Last Thing Thrifted Spring Edition is in collaboration with some very talented creators. I am going to have in my description box the information for each of their channels so that you can go and check them out, as well as the playlist. So each of them have also gone into their stash or thrifted some items and have flipped it for spring. And they are Indiana Jones, The Provincial Farmhouse, Shabby Meets Bling, Up All Night DIY, and repurposed my way, as well as obviously myself, Cheryl from Farmhouse Frugally. Now, once that piece is completely dry, I did reattach the very clean knobs back to the two drawers, and then I took my finger sander and just distress sanded some places here and there on the edges primarily, and then just kind of prepared some of that for the dark antiquing wax to have a place to kind of take hold of. I did go over the rest of the piece for the most part, a little bit here and there, because I really love the look of something that's really distressed, and especially vintage looking, so that is completely an optional step. Initially, I was just going to add the antiquing wax without the distressing, but once I got that on there, I just knew that I wanted some of the wood to pop back. So after I wiped back some of that wax, that's when I decided to do the distressing. And so again, if it were, this has now been waxed, so it doesn't need any kind of a finish on it. But if you did not want to, you could always spray poly it, or depending on what you're going to use it for. I mean, probably not even necessary, depending on what kind of paint that you use. Since it's a latex, I didn't have to put another finish over it, but if it was a chalk paint, you may want to either spray finish, wax, clear wax, anything that you like to finish this piece. So let me know what you think of my first little thrift flip for spring. Now I have just staged it here with a gorgeous little hanky that I also picked up on my thrift flip shopping trip that I took for this challenge. So that is the first item. The second item is this little cloche, cheese dish, whatever. You see these everywhere. And usually they're kind of worse for wear when it comes to the wooden piece. And I happen to love a very neutral colored wood in my home. So I don't like the orangey red color, and I don't really like the shiny finish. So for this piece, all I did was take a sandpaper and just sand thoroughly that entire bottom piece. And that took me a little bit, but once I got that completely sanded, I took out the little bag of items I had picked up at the thrift shop that my husband and I had gone to this weekend. And here is that gorgeous hanky. I think I paid $2 for this, but I love it so much. And then I bought another one, I think at the same place. They had just baskets full of them, so I went through and just picked the two that I liked the best. And then I got these beautiful little furniture knobs that are definitely more antique-y. Some are a little bit chipped, and just wonderful finishes on these. So I decided that I was going to use this one here that's all chippy to take this little patty pan and some Spanish moss and just make a sweet little bird nest, since this is a spring collaboration. And then I am going to add this sweet little white wooden bird. I got this bag of little wooden items for $5 at the thrift shop, and it had 6 of these little birds in different colors, as well as a number of little tiny birdhouses and other wooden pieces that I'm sure I'll be able to use. So I took that gorgeous hanky. Now on the wood finish, I just simply cleaned the wood once I was finished. I might put a clear wax over this, but I didn't want wax on my beautiful hanky. So for here, I just cleaned it and then added a few little feathers into my nest and a little bit of the green ribbon that I think I picked up at Hobby Lobby maybe, and that was it for this sweet little display. So I know you can get these cheese cloches at every Goodwill and every yard sale and every thrift flip. So it's a great way to just display some of your favorite items. And so I put it on top of that little wooden knob, and that is how this second one came out. And I think that they are very beautiful together. And that takes me on to the third item. Now, I absolutely love this third item. Now, this beautiful twig basket, again, I think, at least around here, is very easy to come by. So if this or something like this is something that you like, and honestly, you can do this in any basket, but I thought this looked very woodland. So keeping with the spring and kind of woodland theme here, I filled this basket first with just some foam and then added like all the different kinds of mosses I could get my hands on. They have the green moss, they have the Spanish moss, they have a different kind of moss. I think 3 mosses at my dollar store. So that's what I started with. And then I had picked up this little stringy sisal stuff to make Christmas trees out of last year. And I had some of that. So I formed like a little nest out of that. And then literally out in my yard last year, I had picked up some moss. So I am just gluing that here and there on that twig basket. And then I took a mossy styrofoam ball, and I cut it in half. So that kind of looks a little bit like moss-covered rocks or what have you. So just have fun with it, whatever you can find. I am definitely just getting that mossy woodland feel to begin with as the base for this arrangement. And then once I had that completely, covered the way that I wanted it to, went into my stash to see what else that I might have in the Thrifted bag of wooden birds and in some rocks that I had picked up in Maine at the ocean, just to sort of add to this beautiful woodland feel. So that is... And I decided to add a little bit of the Spanish moss underneath that sisal stuff to make that look more like a bird's nest, to pop a little bit higher up off of the rest of the green. Now, I found in that little bag of wooden goodies a couple of yellow birds, 2 little wooden yellow birds. I had some little yellow eggs, and I just kind of played with it to see if I would like to add these all together. And so here I am just kind of pulling in and out things that I want, and then decide that the 2 birds are wonderful to go along with this, but I preferred, instead of the egg, I didn't want this to feel too Eastery, I decided to put some rocks that I had from the ocean. So once I had that done, I layered a bunch of these. I think these feathers you can get still maybe at the dollar store. I got a whole bag of them a couple of years ago, and a little goes a long way. I used them for my daughter's baby shower. I made little favors of these little nests in every place setting. So I had a whole bunch of these feathers left over, and then made a hang tag for the side of this, just another little birds in a bird's nest kind of feeling, and tied that on the edge of this. Now, once I had this finished, I love it. I absolutely love it, but it is missing a few things. So I decided to take a little bit of the white, I don't know what this is called, this floral that you get at the dollar store. I cut some of the pieces and just kind of hot glued them on the handle of the twig basket to give it a little bit of a pop of white, to pick up the white in the feathers as well as in the rocks, and also to give it just a little bit more floral. And then once I had that finished, it feels to me like it's missing some height. So I went into my stash to see what I might have to add to the back. So once I finish this part up, I am going to show you what it looks like as it is now, and I love it. I think it's just incredibly beautiful. I love the color scheme. It's very spring. I love the grapevine basket. It's really pulled together very nicely, but again, I really do believe that it needs something. So in my stash, I found a little wooden house or home from the dollar store, and it is, I think, probably around the Valentine frame that you will find these. And so what I did was I took off the jute twine and the little love piece from this, and then I took that little house shape and painted that, and then I just kind of dry brushed over it because I kind of liked the brown and then gave that kind of a creamy dry brushed paint. And then I just took my little stamp and a little bit of distressing ink and pressed my stamp in to make it look like a little bird hole right over where that glue had been. And then I had this large pine cone that had started to fall apart, and so I took those bits and pieces, cut those, and then just glued those to the top for a little roof on this little house. So then once I had that little shingled roof going on there with the pine cone pieces, then I took a little bit of moss that I had and just kind of filled in a little bit here and there. And then I decided to add a couple more of those little pine cone pieces to sort of make kind of shutters or something above the bird perch, because there was a little bit of a space there. And then put that into the back of this, and oh my goodness, I just love it. You'll have to let me know what you think of this. Spring is my absolute favorite time to be doing thrift flips, and I am so excited for a couple of projects that I have coming up. I just picked up a birdhouse with some drawers in it, very patriotic looking, that I have flipped over to be something absolutely adorable that goes so well with these other pieces today. So that and many others, make sure you stay tuned for my next couple of videos there, and do not forget to check out the playlist in the description box. Thank you so much for stopping by. I have so thoroughly enjoyed this time, and I would love to know what you think. Please leave me a comment below, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.